You seen that movie Bruce Campbell directed? About motherfucking his movie? That's my shit!
Totally, bro. It's sick as fuck. That shit was gnarly.
Well, first of all, the review. It's a week late. Even though we saw it a week ago, though, we had a little bit of time to, I don't know, mull over it a little bit. I felt that, like, after waiting a few days, it's like, it's still, like, it, like, resonated with me in it, at least some aspects, so it did its job.
Yeah.
That's why I think waiting after watching a movie is always good, because you can think about it.
And I saw this movie walking in and thinking, alright, like, are they going to murder one of the best horror movies of all time, which is Evil Dead?
No pun intended.
They did such a good job, I feel like, capturing the authenticity of, like, the 70s horror movie.
I'm sure part of that has to do with the fact that it's produced by the director of the original. That's, like, one of my main things that I enjoyed about it was that a lot of horror movies recently, I've noticed, get to this, like, point where they, like, use, like, practical effects, like, super simple practical effects because of that whole thing that Paranormal Activity brought about.
Yeah.
It's, like, all about ultra subtle things.
Yeah.
But then at the end, they'll do this, like, special effects extravaganza, and they, like, completely, like, you know what I mean? Like,
they're trying to shove in every effect that they can think of.
Exactly. And but that's the thing that I liked about this is, like, heavy use of practical effects.
Yeah. There was very little CGI, almost an undetectable amount. A lot of the effects they were using were like
stop motion for the vines.
Exactly. They threw it back to like the same types of effects and the same rooted attitudes towards making effects that I feel like the innovative like horror movies of the 70s kind of encompass, and what makes those movies so valuable to like cinematography is like looking at how creative the people that are directing it are and using what like little things they had around them to emulate something really gory and brutal.
I found myself telling people about this movie, which is something that isn't usually the case. I actually I was really pleasantly surprised because when I saw all the commercials, I was like, oh come on, like this. It's like every single horror film has been rehashed. It's like now they've come full circle. It's
remakes has been the thing for Hollywood lately. I mean, it really has.
But this one, I don't know, it was awesome. The gore was really solid. It was like, I don't know, just made your toes curl under the seat. I don't know, you wanted to look away. You say, you know what, this is what I came here for.
I know, that's true.
I'm a person who can watch really gnarly shit, like, and not feel like that gnarly. And I'm sorry, but there's something about this movie that just gets you. It makes you almost feel sick to your stomach. I mean, like, there were times where I just felt an urge to leave the theater, not because I was scared, but just because the images I saw were so, like, disturbing to picture. The advancements in, like, movie making that we have today make that movie so much more disturbing than the original one. Though the original one also has some really gnarly shit that happens. And, like, people getting maimed and people, like, bleeding all over the place. And people twitching. There's something about the clarity of modern, like, film that just makes that so much more disturbing.
With the acting, at first I was like really not liking the movie. It was just because like the way the story is just so half-assed. It's like, I know it's a horror movie. I know like what we're there for, but like there's something about that with horror movies. If you don't like take at least a little more time to flesh out who these people are, and you just do this like throw this shitty writing down on the paper and have these like pretty shitty actors just like act this out like with absolutely zero believability. How are we supposed to be scared if these people are just cardboard cutouts? You know what I mean? But at the same time, like it kicked up a notch when shit started to go down and the acting actually became decent. I was like, these people are really good at acting scared.
Yeah, exactly. They seemed scared.
So it was weird. It was weird like that because I think the writing was just pretty fucking god-awful in this film.
It is really just the cliche young people that you see get killed off in a horror movie. And that's all they really are. Like, they don't go into depth with these characters. There's no piece of dialogue that they say that really either comes off as good acting or good writing. But
they do a lot of stupid shit.
And they do a lot of stupid shit. And what the characters are written out to do is a lot of times not what you would do. And, like, things that seem a little bit ridiculous. But then you also have to be like, you've never been in that position, and you've never had to deal with that type of situation. So sometimes maybe like, you know, people, it would seem that stupid observing a bunch of people that had no idea what could possibly happen. So I kind of felt like it was...
Yeah, but even so, it's like, does that make for a good movie? No, because it's like, you hate the character. And if you hate the character, or if he's doing, literally just stupid stuff that you feel like you genuinely wouldn't do, which I think a lot of people thought, how are you supposed to like the guy? It's like, well, you're stupid, yeah, die, whatever.
Though the original one had cheesy dialogue and a cheesy kind of scary movie feel, the characters in it...
But that one was more, like, kind of goofy as far as I remember. Well, is that true? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they took this Evil Dead seriously. Not to say they didn't take it seriously in the first Evil Dead, but it came off so ridiculous in the first Evil Dead. They were, for the rest of the 3-movie series that involved the Evil Dead kind of franchise, they just ended up making it a joke because it was so ridiculous to start out with. This tries to take a serious voice to a ridiculous story.
Not to say that they don't have a lot of comedic moments. Certain bits of dialogue. The whole audience just busted up laughing. The way the demon spoke to be, you know, particularly, you know, like cutting, is interesting. You know, this like the really vulgar, crude dialogue.
Oh, they do that a lot.
Yeah, just like to like, you know, like the incestuous language. It's like
that started with like the Exorcist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. It's just like, you know, suck that cock.
Yeah.
It's a cool take on the idea of like Satan and the idea of like vulgarity is evil.
You know, your nightmare. It's just like, that's my sister. Like, that's wrong.
Well,
this is hell, bitch.
But like, you know, it's funny because it does make you cringe a little. It's weird.
Yeah, it's weird. It gets at you.
Yeah, it's like, if I went down there, I wouldn't get my dick sucked. Like, you're a liar, too.
Yeah. I hate how many people fucking fall for I hate the characters. The whole time I was just like, what are you doing?
It's just like, you wouldn't go in there, like, why would you go there? Why would you do that?
Yeah. Oh, so much had happened to that point where it was obvious that there was some actual evil entity. Shit that would make you 100% just suddenly believe in hell. But then again, like, they needed him to go down so that you could have that scary scene. You need them to be stupid so they can keep on doing this shit, you know? But let's just do the scores now. Yeah. So I'm going to give it a 7, like a 7, honestly, I know it's kind of random, but a 7.7. It's not quite an 8, but it is a good time, and it's not the bare minimum good time. Like, it's a good time. So, I mean, and the reason for that is, like, at the end of the day, it's like, and when we talk about it and think back on it, it totally outweighed, like, the gore and the practical effects and just all that scary shit was just, it totally outweighed, like, the terrible writing and the poor acting in some parts. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. 7.7.
I'm going to give it an 8.4. It's definitely a good time. If you're a fan of the original Evil Dead or any of those movies, it's definitely worth watching. If you've been really disheartened by horror movies recently and want to watch something that just, like, you know, gives you that good horror movie feeling that you're like, yeah, that was fucking gnarly and I feel kind of sick feeling afterwards. Like, that's definitely the movie you want to go to. But it's not a future class. It's not as good as the original, but it's definitely worth seeing in theaters. 8.4.
I would like to give this a solid 8. It was absolutely a good time, and I even told my friends. The dialogue and the acting kind of blend out once the shit gets real. It becomes exciting quickly. It maintains that all the way to the end. The intensity and the anxiety are up, and it's, you know, gets your blood flowing.
Yeah.
You know, you sweat a little bit, and by the time you're out, you're like, wow, that was some intense stuff. I don't know. It was you know, enjoyable and an homage to a classic. It wasn't shameful. So again, an 8. It was a good time.
Fucking great. Okay, cool.